name is Haley King. Welcome to the show.
Today we will be talking about diabetes, the third leading cause of death in the U.S.
Yes, Mark. Diabetes is a lifelong disease that involves high level of sugar in the blood. The disease was first linked with sweet urine and excessive loss of muscle. Sweet urine is a term that comes from spillage of glucose in the urine when the levels of blood glucose are elevated. And as many of you know, there are two types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2.
Type 1 diabetes is when the pancreas cannot produce enough insulin. People with diabetes have to inject insulin in their bodies from 1 to 4 times a day. People with type 1 diabetes also have to test their blood sugars regularly.
Type 2 diabetes is a lot more common than type 1 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is produced by high levels of sugar in the blood. This type of diabetes is mostly seen in adults, but can also be seen in certain people younger than 20.
That's right. And today we have a special guest. Her name is Isabella Rogers. She is 8 years old, and she has been currently diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
Please give a warm welcome to Isabella Rogers. Hello, Isabella. Welcome to the show. Hi, everybody. So, Isabella, how has it been having diabetes for over a year now? Well, it's extremely difficult for me because I'm only 8, you know, and at first it was really hard for me to accept the fact that I even had diabetes. It was really stressful, but thanks to my doctors and my family and my friends, I've been able to cope with it really well. I'm glad to hear. So what is it like to take shots every day? Well, it sucks. I hate shots, and I always have, but I'm getting used to it. I have to test my sugar levels regularly too. It gets annoying sometimes because I have to wear it on my arm all the time, but it's getting easier to manage. Oh wow, so tell us, Isabella, what do you normally eat? Well, I have a very strict diet, you see, and it helps me maintain my weight. And I usually eat vegetables because they have high fiber, and I eat a lot of pasta for lunch and a lot of rice for dinner and bread for breakfast. It gets boring sometimes, but I always, you know, am very thankful for the food I have on my plate. Oh, I'm such a good girl. Anyways, so do you exercise? Well, Miss Bailey, everyone has to exercise, of course. Well, I exercise, I walk my dog every day, and I like to dance, you know. I'm not allowed to do any intense sports, which makes me pretty sad, but Isabella, we'll see you later. Bye, Miss Bailey.
When I first got diagnosed, my doctor suggested that I get a medical ID tag. We had the idea to come up with one with Bayer, a personalized one that meant something to me, and this one was the one we came up with. It kind of became this thing among our fans that they would see the dog tag and relate with it, and they started getting medical ID tags as well. When I see them at the shows, you know, I can relate with people who have diabetes and that don't, and you can visualize it and say, oh wow, they've supported the cause, they've gone to MakeSimpleWins.com, Change for the Children, and tried to do something to raise awareness, and that means a lot for me.
Now we will be having an interview with Larry Burns, a teenager who has recently been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Hi, Larry.
Hello. So, Larry, tell us, what extracurricular activities do you do?
Well, you see, I play b-ball, football, and soccer.
Oh, that's good. And how many times do you have to inject yourself with insulin every day?
I have to inject myself, like, you know, twice a day.
How has diabetes impacted your life?
Well, you see, since I play a lot of sports and stuff, I sometimes forget or don't know how to, like, you know, like have no time to always, like, test my blood. And because of this, I sometimes get, like, very sick. And I even had to go to, like, the ER once, and my doctor told me that the hormones being produced in my body were making my blood sugars vary, and it was going, like, all crazy and stuff. And he also said that there were, like, random, and I couldn't really control my hormones or whatever was going on because I'm going through, like, puberty. Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad you're alive and still with us, Larry.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you for coming. After this break, we'll be seeing the opinions of a mother who has a baby on board.
If you're over 65, have diabetes, and are on Medicare, you may qualify for a free meter and cookbook offer from Liberty Medical.
You know, there are still some people who don't know that the cost of their diabetes testing supplies may be covered by Medicare. Well, if you have diabetes and you're you're on Medicare, your test.
Now let's welcome Michaela Scott.
Hello, thank you so much.
So Michaela, tell us, how has your pregnancy been so far?
Well, it's been overall interesting and a very wonderful experience. Sometimes it's extremely hard for me emotionally to manage because my baby could possibly get diabetes. I also have a really bad morning sickness thing, you know? So that's a definite downside.
I see. So how do you take care of yourselves on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I have to keep my blood levels completely under control, and this means I have to watch everything I eat, and I have to exercise daily and to keep my blood sugars normal, which is very hard with certain cravings, you know, and yet I know that if I keep a good health during my pregnancy, then there will be a greater possibility of my child not having diabetes.
Keep up the great work. And if you're a pregnant mother that doesn't have diabetes, it is likely that your child could get diabetes. So it's recommended that pregnant women be very mindful of what they eat.
Right, because we're feeding ourselves and the little angels inside our stomachs.
Well, thank you so much for being part of our show.
No, thank you.
After a quick commercial break, we have an expert on diabetes, so stay tuned.
I got my one touch, got my own pump. Take shots, count carbs, diabetic stuff. If you ain't one, if you ain't one, if you ain't one, if you ain't one. IAMDIABETIC, you know what that mean? Pancreas don't work and I don't know why. I start to damage my cells, insulin deprived. Then I start to see the symptoms, so much liquid I need. Kinda lost a lot of weight and I frequent the latrine. If you think you're gonna fight it with a diet, you be done. Got the wrong kind of mind. I'm a type 1, son. See, I need that insulin if I'm gonna survive. None of that, just exercise. Else no, we gonna die. See, you get type 1 from your family history. And if it's not from that, then you gotta like me. On my pancreas impaired, throw your hands up and say, man. IAMDIABETIC, you know what that mean, man. IAMDIABETIC, you know what that mean.
The explanation louse me, keep the needles off me. All I know about diabetes is that sugar's awful. You can balance it with insulin. I know the sooner vibing with that glucagon, bring the blood sugar down like stocking and raw. But if it ever so happens I get diabetes, I'ma call Liberty just like Wilford Brimley.
IAMDIABETIC, you know what that mean. My one touch, got my own pump. Take shots, count carbs, diabetic stuff. If you ain't one, if you ain't one, if you ain't one, if you ain't one, hey meal. Check your blood sugar, man. Put in your carbs, spread ACT, and then go pumping. IAMDIABETIC, you know what that mean, man. IAMDIABETIC, you know what that mean.
Welcome back. With us today we have Professor Koborsa. Hello, Professor. Can you give us some information about what your job includes? Hi, Mark. I certainly can. As a diabetes professor, I research for cures for diabetes. That's wonderful! So could you tell us what impact does diabetes have on the human body? Well, I certainly can. The common effects of diabetes include blindness, kidney failure, and nerve damage. These are examples of damages to the small vessels in the body, also known as microvascular disease, whereas macrovascular diseases include stroke, coronary heart disease, and other large blood vessel diseases. And on top of all of this, diabetes can also result in too much glucose in the blood and urine, excessive thirst, and weight loss.
Wow, I didn't know that. So Professor, what usually causes diabetes, besides the whole common cause of eating excessively and being overweight?
Most of the time, it's inadequate production of insulin, failure of cells to use insulin properly, or production of defective insulin causes diabetes. I see. Well, thank you so much for being on today's show, and that's all the time we have for today. My name is Mark Gable.
And my name is Bailey Shearer. Thank you for watching Channel 755 News. Bye!